Okay, well, welcome everyone to our AI in Education, a panel discussion. We have our esteemed faculty here with us, and this webinar is for MS in Education, the International Teaching and Global Leadership Program. We are so excited that you have joined us for this information session to learn a little bit more about a new course offered in the program, as well as more just about the background behind AI. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Professor Jennifer Adams to introduce our panelists and talk a little bit more about this.
Hey, great. Well, good morning, good evening, no matter where you are in the world right now. We want to thank you for joining us here at the School of Education to learn a little bit about this exciting new course we have, AI in Education. Before we start talking about the course and before I introduce the panelist, I wanted to give you some quick facts about the School of Education. I don't know, Serena, you want to share any of the
Yeah,
information
definitely.
here?
So our total enrollment at the School of Education is just a little over 1,000 students, but the School of Education is just one part of Johns Hopkins as a whole. We're one academic division in the entire university. Here at the School of Education, we have a little bit over 100 full-time faculty, and we have proudly 25,000 plus graduates who graduated from the School of Education. We have about 30% of our enrollment made up of international students hailing from 34 countries. And we are typically ranked in the top 20 by many different organizations as one of the best education schools in the world. Currently, we're ranked number 14 by the US News and World Report. But as you can see, some of our other rankings were number 6 by US News and World Report for best national universities. For best education school, as I said, we are number 14. We're number 14 as well for best global universities. The Times Higher Education World University Rankings has us at number 16. So as you can see, we are highly ranked all across the world for the many programs that we have here in the School of Education, and because of the esteemed work that our faculty are doing.
Thanks, Serena. So as I said, I'm Jennifer Adams, and I'm an associate professor here at the School of Ed, and I'm also the director of ITGL. Just a little information about me. I'm starting here on my 3rd year at Johns Hopkins, and working with students in ITGL and thinking about the best ways to prepare them to be global leaders in the field of education. Working in various spaces is one of the favorite aspects of my job. I actually do a lot of research related to global education policy, rural education, climate change education, and international higher education. So I am not an expert on AI in education. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing all of the details that we get from our real expert panelists that we have today. But I did want to just spend a couple minutes explaining why this course that we have, AI in Education, which is a new core course in ITGL, why it's really important, I think, for preparing global education leaders. So I don't have to tell the audience here, we hear about AI all around us all of the time. It's in your news feed probably every day and increasingly touching all of the activities that we do in a day. The global context, though, I think on the international education stage, there are so many facets of the global and international education space, just as we see in other spaces, where AI is really dominating many of the conversations that we're having about jobs and careers and educational policy. So I have some of the trends are sort of listed here, the sort of increased worldwide attention on using AI to enhance students' learning experiences and personalize education. I hear this myself in my interactions and travels around the world with people that are working in governments and ministries of education, thinking about what students need to learn and how to prepare teachers, which you see here. Some countries such as China, the US, South Korea, Saudi Arabia recently has developed national policies and are investing increasingly in preparing teachers to use AI in schools. We also see leadership in our international organizations, where they're developing frameworks to guide the ethical use of AI in education. This renewed focus on AI ethics is partially due to privacy concerns and also equitable access, which is a big issue, I think, also in the field of global and international education, which we also see sort of increasing digital divides in different places with the expansion of ed tech generally, and particularly with AI. More recent years, we're seeing also increased research driven by the World Bank and other international organizations, and particularly in South Asia, real massive explosion of AI ed tech startups as tools continue to grow in that region. And so for all of these reasons, students who come to the ITGL program are often interested in different aspects of education. We have students focused on entrepreneurship, students that are focused on teaching English as a foreign language, others that are interested in creativity or early childhood education. In all of these spaces, AI is really touching the careers that they hope to enter in the future. And so because of that, we were really excited to adopt this new course that Jim Diamond, who I'll be introducing, and Zia Hassan have been designed last year. We were really happy to adopt this core course, not only for our focus area in AI and learning innovation, but a core course for all ITGL students to really prepare them to be leaders in the 21st century. And so here, this is just wanted to give you a little flash of the way we think about the mission that we have here in ITGL to help you understand why AI in education is an important part of what we're trying to do. We're preparing future-ready global education leaders who can use research and innovation and the science of learning to really transform education in so many spaces, right? So traditional K through 12 schools, communities, workplaces, and digital spaces. We see people going into government, into entrepreneurial activities, into school leaderships, into ed tech spaces. And we want them to be able to use hands-on applied experiences to really transform education and be change makers in this space. And for these reasons, we're increasingly working to prepare students who are in the ITGL program to use AI. And so there are just 4 spaces that I wanted to emphasize today before we move on and start really talking to our panelists. And so we do have new program learning outcomes for the ITGL program. One of these program learning outcomes actually emphasizes developing technological competencies, which means also leveraging their AI knowledge and being globally relevant with their technological tools to work in this space. We have this new core course, which is the focus of our conversation today, AI in education, again, core course for all ITGL students. A new focus area on AI and learning innovation that will be starting next fall. Students in this focus area will be taking the AI in education course and then also be taking 3 additional courses. And then we're also fortunate that we have our extended learning coordinator with us here today, and he hopefully can speak to students, the increased opportunities within extended learning to be developing and using AI in students' learning experiences. So that's just sort of a recap of, and also a rationale for why we're so excited about this class for our students. And so I want to go ahead and move into this panel discussion about what's happening in this great course. And so we have 4 panelists here with us today. Jim Diamond, or James Diamond, and is assistant professor here at the School of Education. And he also is the director of the new master's program, Learning Design and Technology. So Jim is one of the creators of this course, and hopefully he also can speak a little bit possibly about the new master's program as we're talking. He was joined by Zia Hassan, who is a doctoral student here at the School of Education with great expertise in this area in the co-development of this course. Zia is teaching this course this semester for ITGL students. And then we are also joined with 2 additional instructors for the course, Dr. Paul Miller, and then also Dr. Mark Trexler, who is an assistant professor here at the School of Ed, and also the academic advisor for an area lead for the entrepreneurship and education program and our extended learning coordinator. coordinator. So I want to welcome all of you and just want to start talking about what's so great about this course and what your experiences are. So I want to start with sort of a softball question, like um, posing it to all of you. Like, what can you tell me about this new course? Like, how would you describe it, and how does the course feel like as you're teaching it? Does it feel sort of like new? What's the vibe in the course?
I can certainly kick this off. So
Yeah,
thank you,
thanks, Paul.
Jennifer, and welcome everybody. So the course itself is very new. It's new, but with old flavor. And I say that because we're not just sensationalizing artificial intelligence. We're really taking a critical look at artificial intelligence and the role it is playing in the teaching and learning field, right? And how it really is reshaping our day-to-day lives and how we can coexist with this moving forward. So it isn't, again, we're looking at the tool in regards to making sure that we have a place for the tool and how we can use that tool to integrate and to move forward and to use it ethically and responsibly as we get inundated with more and more applications of AI through things like ed tech organizations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would just like to follow up with Dr. Miller too. In addition, our students are, investigating, really what we should be prioritizing right now in education in this, AI driven world that we're getting. We get news every day about it, and we're really asking our students. We do weekly reflections in the course, really on what is our human sort of centered driven purpose that sort of remains distinct from the machine. I think it was great. One of the reflection pieces one of my students wrote to me the other day was, I'm really beginning to learn that the machine is not just answer driven solely, that I'm trying to reflect on what's my human centered purpose as an educational leader.
I'll just add to that by
Yeah.
saying, oh, sorry.
No, great. Go for it, Zia.
I was just going to add to say that it feels in agreement with the other instructors. It feels like doing this course, it's almost like we're doing it together. Unlike other courses where we have been sort of like the, sage on the stage and like, here's the expertise and the knowledge we have. We certainly have some of that, but reading these reflections, these weekly logs that students have been turning in, seeing how their knowledge has been growing is informing our practice as well. And we're feeding that back to the students. It's a very synergistic process.
Well, I was just mentioning that ITGL is a pretty diverse program. The students come in with pretty diverse experiences, interests, professional backgrounds. Who is this course for? How will students be able to take away what they learn from this type of course and apply it meaningfully in contexts that matter to them?
So it's really designed for a diverse audience, right? And part of the course outcome is really to get people to talk and to norm set what AI should look, sound, and feel like, right? One of the problems with artificial intelligence right now is kind of the stigma behind its use. People are using it, people are figuring out ways in which to use this within their professional context, but those conversations are not happening universally across disciplines. So, for example, a K to 12 teacher may use it to apply adaptive learning or literacy interventions in their classroom. A higher education professional may rethink academic, assignments. From a nonprofit perspective, it could be used to scale initiatives, right? So, these conversations, I think, really are very beneficial across those different disciplines because, again, it's allowing us to norm set what is an ethical and responsible use of AI? What does this look like? And how can we begin to take away, those negative aspects of what AI is kind of bringing or manifest into society? So that I think that conversation really allows us to explore what those traits of AI should look, sound, and feel like, and how the frameworks can be adaptive to really benefit everybody.
I would agree. And, one of our program focus areas under Dr. Adams' leadership is our applied research area. So, if you are looking at theoretical sort of inquiry with AI, this is a great course for you to take. But then, we don't leave it just there. We look at the hands-on kind of experimentation that we are doing each week in this course. And we really feel, I think, all of us, that it really develops this critical kind of understanding and as well as the practical skills of really applying AI in a professional educational context.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I would say,
go ahead, Zia. Yeah.
sorry.
No.
I would say this course is one for rebels in some way, because if we don't take the reins and we don't figure out what AI means to us, then we let huge tech companies tell us what AI in education means, and we let them drive the conversation and the narrative. And right now we're kind of seeing that, right? We're seeing a lot of big tech companies shaping the future of education. And this is our way of saying students and educators and people who are involved with actually understanding how people learn and think, you take the reins, you think about it. So I'll make it a broad statement. I think that's who it's for.
I love that.
Jennifer, just on the heels of that, really quickly, because I especially appreciate that comment from Zia. Who is this course for? It's for leaders and entrepreneurs who want to add an additional tool into their toolkit as they go out into the world to make changes in educational settings, right? So what we do here at the School of Education, as you know, is we nurture leaders and entrepreneurs. And so a course like this is intended to put out into the world people who can take very, very critical approaches and very, very critical lenses to the use of a technology while maintaining almost a sense of wonder about the magic of ed tech, right? That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to balance what can be a sense of awe, and rightly so, in my view, while also remaining grounded in the real challenges and possible perils that are associated with the use of technologies. And who we want to put out into the world are people who can be very clear-eyed about the affordances of these technologies, while also thinking very clearly about questions like who benefits, who doesn't, and why is that, and how can I make a change in that space? So I think that's who a course like this is for.
That's amazing. And Jim and Zia, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit with like two more questions, just about your thinking about this course because you designed it. So, in references things that you both, I guess, have said so far. So one, right, with AI rapidly evolving, like, was it difficult to create this course? You both seem so clear-eyed about how the purpose of the course, but was it challenging given how fast the field is evolving? And how did you prioritize in this course that many students at the School of Education will take and ITGL students will take? What was most important for students to know?
Yeah, it was challenging. We often found ourselves with dead links after a while that had been changed, blog posts we wanted students to read that have been moved. And so like keeping up with all of the research and making sure that we had the latest and greatest was challenging. And still, I still feel like now doing the course in the fall, having designed it last semester, there's still a lot of updating and explaining that needs to happen. We also, another thing that was challenging was the sort of meta aspect of it. These are students that are taking the course who are immersed in, like all other students, a world of AI. So how do we design the course in a way that sort of tends to the future of education and design assessments in a way that allows students to be incremental in their thinking and to have many, many drafts of their thinking? That's what we're doing with weekly logs, for instance. So it's yes, both the content, but it's also in a meta way, having students think about in this course that you're taking right now, how does AI play a role and how are you using it to assist you with how you think about AI? Very meta.
What he said. But I'll also say, so yes, it's challenging, but no, it's not, right? So the school and ITGL are grounded in a mission and a vision and certain first principles, right? And what I like to think all of us here, when we construct curricula, are very conscious of is not allowing the tail to wag the dog, right? It's not about the technology. It's about the technology as a means to an end. So what are those ends that guide our curriculum, that guide our instruction, that guide our vision for who we want to put out into the world. And Z and I think we're quite clear from the beginning of the course what those ends are by looking at the school's mission, by looking at the program's vision, by looking at the learning design and technology program's objectives, and saying, those are the things we need to address. And now let's work backwards from there, because the technology will change tomorrow. We know that. But our commitment to these specific set of principles will not change tomorrow. We will continue along those lines. So how do we think about applying this technology such that our students can continue to move toward that objective? I think that becomes a very clear path.
That's amazing. This is also really helpful for me to hear, actually. I'm enjoying this very much. So again, thanks to all of you for talking about the course. One other just sort of question that I also, sort of thinking about, I'd like to hear about from Zia and also Jim about the way you sort of thoughtfully put together the course, but also how this is working out, I think, with Mark and Paul. How are you really how does the course balance the sort of theoretical aspects of the course, right? In terms of like, say, for example, AI's impact on knowledge construction, but also with practical hands-on sort of development. That's something that we do pretty well in the School of Ed and that we really focus on in ITGL. So how are you thinking about that as you put the course together?
Yeah, a big part of it was thinking through what are the key assignments of the class. And so we have assignments that are a little bit more theoretical, readings that are a little bit more theoretical, thinking through how the students consider what the place of AI in the world of education and the world at large. That happens through our weekly logs. And then we have syntheses that happen of those logs halfway through the semester and at the end. But then we also have projects that involve coming up with some kind of product that involves an AI human collaboration. And what a product can be is kind of up to the student. We left it kind of open to see what students would come up with. So I know in my class, I've heard students say, I really want to design an app, or I really want to design some kind of program, or I want to think about this and come up with this particular way of thinking about it, or this guide. And so they're getting this theoretical thinking, but they're also applying it in some way and thinking about a project that might actually happen for them. And we know with ITGL students, they often make these things happen. So it's really exciting to see what could come out of this wonderful storm of thinking.
What he said. I'm not sure I can add to that. Look, I think this is what we try and do in the ed school, right? We have a real focus on practice. So we understand the value and necessity of theory because that underlies everything and concepts underlie everything. But we also know that we're putting into the world practitioners. And so the types of assignments that Zia is talking about, we're very conscious about designing, right? We're very conscious and intentional about giving students opportunities to put into practice right away while they are here, so they can receive feedback from us and one another about what's manifesting in the world based on these ideas. And I have to say, I am especially proud of the assignments that we've created in this course, because I think they do a really nice job of those very things. So.
Yeah,
Mark, Paul, do you have anything to add there from the way that it's playing out with you guys teaching the course?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think, I think what the School of Ed does really well is builds the bridge between theory and practice. Right? And one of the things with AI that students don't usually get the opportunity to do is play, right? Is to actually explore the tool in a safe space where they're constructing knowledge, using frameworks and using outcome-driven means. So, really what I really appreciate about the course is that element that, together we get to co-construct. We get to explore, we get to really see what this tool can do in a way that allows us to also tackle the wicked problems that come with generative AI, like the ethics behind it, right? By the responsible use. So again, I know, going back to the notion of play, it allows us to play. It allows us to explore in that safe space with reflection, right? So it's about rapid prototype, and it's about, making sure that the outcomes really do drive the learning process. And I really do appreciate that about the course.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Dr. Miller and Zia and Dr. Diamond. It's really the assignments have been designed to really see this as a thought partner, and take it, making our instruction or the artifacts and things that we design for students, whether it's in K through 12 or higher ed, with the creativity that I feel, we all deserve as learners, the problem solving and really kind of idea generation. And it's correct. I mean, we're allowing our students, to take the research framework and make it practical, but this creativity playground is really what it really makes this course unique. And we want our students to do that because they are the ones that are going to go out and really expand the boundaries here between learning and innovation. And so, yeah.
Jennifer, can I add one thing super
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
Yes.
And so I want to drop a reading, not that anybody's doing any readings based off of this webinar, but this is an article that I think is
I am.
really important for anyone who's interested in AI in education, but just AI as technology broadly. And here's why I think this is relevant. Everyone should read it. Everyone on this, and the title of the article is AI is Normal Technology. It's a good title. And because AI is normal technology, it's not a god. We don't even we're not approaching artificial general intelligence, right? But there's so much mystery surrounding AI right now. And again, I think part of what we're trying to do in this course is maintain that, wow, this is cool. This is different. There's some pretty amazing stuff that we can do with this. At the same time, it's a human-made technology. And we know how to analyze that. We know how to evaluate that. We know how to look at these tools. And the reason we know that is because graduate programs like this one put people into the world who can do those things. So I think this is a really good article, and I encourage everyone to read it because I think it's very, very grounding. And it helps maintain that sense of awe with like, oh, right, it's just technology, and we know how to approach that.
Well, that's great. I'm excited to read it. I just pulled it up. It's on my other screen. But actually, this discussion, I think what all of you just said, like, just leads me to like another question. Again, from just me reviewing the course syllabus and talking with students, I had a couple of things I wanted to ask about still. The course description definitely highlights ethics, bias and governance. And I definitely hear about these issues when I'm talking to like ministries of ed and like other contexts, right? So, how are you helping students really critically engage with the ethics piece, right? And does that lead to the hands-on learning? Is this more reflective? Like, how are you really thinking, and what kind of discussions are you having regarding ethics in this space?
I think.
Well, really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say, I think from an ethical perspective, ethics begin by having dialogue and conversation, right? And coming to understanding of what this tool is and the power behind the tool and how to norm set the use of the tool. So I think just the open dialogue opportunities, again, in that safe space where students can explore things like privacy risks, right? Again, we tend to jump in with both feet to use a tool. We kind of use it to help support our lives, to help support quicker outcomes. But taking it back to the real element here, which is, what actually goes into this tool to make it work. As Jim said, this has been designed by humans. When you strip it back, this has been programmed by humans. So, build an awareness of how the tool actually exists and why it does what it does is really, really key. So again, using those frameworks to understand, how to critically analyze these tools. How do we apply things like digital literacy that we all use in our day-to-day lives? And, transition that to AI literacy to understand things like context. So I think again, having those conversations and really allowing students to understand the bare bones of why and how these things exist really helps us with those ethical norms that we hope to establish through the dialogue in the course.
Yeah, and one of the School of Education faculty, Ebony McGee, told me when I spoke to her about this. This is my research area, so I've spoken to her about this before. And one of the things she said to me was, some of the practitioners, you see what happens on the end of your screen, and you don't think about what's happening on the other end, where the servers are, the types of communities that they might be affecting. And so that really opened my eyes. And I think when Jim and I were putting together the course, we thought this is really important for students to not be the people who have their eyes closed to that. And so there's an entire week on ethics. And there's also a project around governance and policy. And we thought that was really important because if you're thinking about how this should be implemented in terms of policy, you're thinking about ethics, you're thinking about how it affects the greater good and the community and the people around you. Having an understanding of that globally is like, if you didn't have that in an AI education course, then I feel like you're missing a huge chunk of it.
Just to follow up there with this question a little bit more too, is that, I mean, ITGL is a program where we have students come from all over the world. The current class of ITGL students has students from Indonesia, Vietnam, China, Saudi Arabia, South Korea. What ethical dilemmas arise when AI systems that are developed in one culture are used in classrooms around the world? And are you having conversations about this part of I don't know, implementing AI tools in other contexts?
So I can speak really quick.
Yeah.
So yes, we are having those
Yeah.
conversations. I am not teaching this course at the moment, but I
Yeah.
will say, in another course that I taught in ITGL, Emerging Issues, as you know, we had a set of fascinating conversations about the way that large language models are trained and the languages with which they are trained primarily, and in what ways that is influencing and affecting the outputs of this technology, right? Now, that's a fascinating and important question. And we know things like garbage in, garbage out, but that's not even what we're talking about at this point, right? We're talking about a lot of large language models are trained in English language. So what does it mean when it's being used in other parts of the world? What do the products mean when they're being used in other parts of the world? So again, that's a different course, but these questions, these issues are very much on the tops of students' minds, at least in my experience, as they're using the technology.
Great. All right, I'm going to ask a common question that I heard from students when they were trying to figure out whether they really wanted to take the course, but they felt nervous. So sort of two sides of the same question, right? So can students without a technical background succeed in this course? And alternatively, if a student already has a background in like computer science or they've done work with AI as an undergraduate, what will they learn from this course that's new?
I can start by saying that if you don't have a technical background, this course is designed for people that range all the way from beginner, never used AI before, to I've used it every day for the work that I do. Because in the end, we're talking, as Jim said so eloquently, about a normal technology. And we've
Jim, you may need to jump in.
No, that was a very important thought. I couldn't possibly improve on what Zia was about to say, Jen. Hopefully he'll rejoin us in a second. The short answer is you need no technical background for this course. It was designed with you in mind. I'm also happy to answer in on the other end, which is if you come from an engineering or a computer science background, you have a whole world of learning to do in a course like this about things like the learning sciences, about things like pedagogy, about things like understanding technology in context and thinking about how to design, develop, implement, evaluate along those lines. So you have a lot to learn no matter where you're coming from. I have a lot to learn from you. We have a lot to learn when you come into a course like this. So let's call the course open to everybody.
Open to everyone. I like it. I like it. Good, good. Okay, I know we're rapidly getting close to time where we wanted to open things up for questions. So I just want to sort of end with a couple of sort of more, optimistic, fun questions. So quickly, favorite thing about the course, each one of you, favorite thing.
What the students are challenging us with, the questions and the conversations. Again, it's a very rich class when it comes to conversations and challenging perceptions and one's thoughts. So I really enjoy that about the course.
I do too. I mean, I really see my students as thought partners in this. And it really, I think together we're just trying to figure out this human AI partnership within the educational realm. So I'm really excited and I really enjoy the thought partner aspects with my students.
What they said. Plus, I have to say there's one assignment I am extremely excited about in this course, and I can't wait to hear about it. Hopefully, students will love it too. And this is the co-creation with AI. We're particularly interested in helping students reflect on what it means to learn and do with AI and what it means to learn and do without AI, right? In a very abbreviated way, because I think that is central to what we need to be doing in the education space when we think about this technology, right? What is the role of the technology? When do we set the technology aside and say, I want you to be able to do this on your own before you use the technology? So I'm super excited about that assignment. And I hope, not even because of the products necessarily, but what I hope are the reflections that students are doing as they go through that process.
Quick clarification from me, like, are the projects that you guys are talking about, these more hands-on projects, done individually, or students working collaboratively in the class, mix of both? Like, what is the sort of style in terms of these projects?
So it really is a mix of all of
It's a mix.
those. Again, from the individual to collective to we ground a lot of what we do in collaborative and cooperative learning. So, getting students to really have that opportunity to learn with and from each other is really key in the course.
Well, that's great. Your answers just made me also feel really happy. I feel like one of the things that I tell ITGL students, I feel like, and again, certainly students are choosing to come to the School of Education at Johns Hopkins University because of the expertise that we've highlighted so well here on this panel. But I also think I tell students that one of the biggest resources that they have here is each other, right? It's the students in ITGL, it's the students at the School of Education, right, that are wrestling with these ideas in the classroom. And I feel like the example that you guys are talking about in this course, right, where people are working with faculty, but also working with classmates to sort of co-create this experience that's sort of evolving all around us. Anyway, I feel like it just really reinforces this idea that we have so much to offer the world here at Johns Hopkins, but the people that come here to learn together is one of those things, right? So really exciting. So thanks all of you. I'm going to ask you to stay on a few more minutes in case we get questions from the audience that I can't answer, which I probably will not be able to. So Serena, I don't know if you have any closing remarks or you want to open it up for questions first, or how.
We can just quickly go through admissions requirements and then we'll save
Okay.
time for questions. So
Great.
at this time, I'm going to reshare my slides so everyone knows what's happening on the end of the viewing, who are viewing this webinar. And we'll talk a little bit about how do you apply to ITGL, the admissions timeline, a little bit about financial aid, and then at the end, we'll open it for questions. So to apply to ITGL, you need to submit an online application. You can find that link on our website, and there's an $80 application fee. In addition to that online application, you need to submit your resume highlighting your academic achievements, as well as any like internships, research, anything that you're doing that you would want to highlight as a part of your hands-on experience. There is an essay as well. That prompt you can find on our website and within the application. 2 letters of recommendation. One of those letters of recommendation should be from a academic person who knows you, like a professor, a mentor, maybe a faculty academic advisor from undergrad, as well as your official transcripts are needed. So if you did your education within the United States, you can submit those transcripts. If you did your education abroad or outside of the United States, then we do need a course-by-course evaluation in lieu of those official transcripts. A video screening may be required. If it is required, the admissions committee will reach out to you to let you know your next steps in submitting that video screening. And then every student must select their focus area when they apply within their online application form. Okay, so we'll just talk a little bit more about those international student requirements. I talked about the course-by-course evaluation that's needed if you have completed your degree outside of the United States or English-speaking Canada. You'll also need to submit a passing English language proficiency test. We accept the IELTS, the TOEFL, and the Duolingo English test is new this year for us accepting it as part of the admissions process. If you have any additional questions about that, you can definitely find them on our website on our international admissions page, or you can reach out to me. I'm happy to help if you have any questions about the application requirements. So admissions timeline, that application right now for spring of 2026 and fall of 2026 is open. The spring 2026 semester begins in January of 2026. Fall begins in August of 2026. That application deadline for spring is coming up soon. November 5th is your deadline to submit all of your application materials. And then for our fall deadlines, January 15th is our priority deadline. That priority deadline allows you to receive your admission decision before February 16th, and also gives you priority consideration for any scholarships that we offer. If there is, definitely funding available, students who apply after January 15th will be still considered for those scholarships, but for priority consideration, January 15th is your deadline. And then the final deadline, if you don't have everything completed by January 15th, you have until April 30th to submit your application and all of your materials for fall of 2026. For spring and for fall, there are different deadlines to accept your offer of admission and submit your enrollment deposit. So you'll want to be sure that you check your admissions letter for all of those important dates on accepting your offer. For tuition for the ITGL program, you'll see that all focus areas except for TEFL is $63,360 plus the technology fee. The TEFL focus area has a higher tuition rate because they take more credits. That's the only reason why. And then the enrollment deposit that I referenced is $3,000, and that's due by a certain date that's in your admission letter after you accept, or as soon as you accept your offer of admission. So we'll go over scholarships a little bit before we open it up for questions. So there's a Global Leader Scholar Award for our ITGL students. There are a limited number of merit-based scholarships. They will be available for both cohorts for spring of 2026 and for fall of 2026. For our international students, we have some additional resources that are there for you to look for additional funding: internationalscholarships.com, edupass.org, and then national government programs is a great place as well. Several of our ITGL students in the past have received government scholarships. If you are a United States citizen applying to the ITGL program, you want to complete your FAFSA, so that way you are considered for all of the grants and scholarships that are available to you, not only here at SOE, but also from the federal government. With that, we will go ahead and open it up to our Q&A. So please, at this time, if you have questions for our panelists about the course, or if you have questions about the admissions process, go ahead and put those in the Q&A function, and we will read them out and answer them. We have until about 9 a.m., so we have about 10 minutes or so for questions. and then we'll wrap up our webinar.
Well, while we're waiting to see if any questions come in, I did have a question that, Mark, I was hoping that you could address early on.
Sure.
I mentioned extended learning and that you were the coordinator for the extended learning program. Those of you that are new to ITGL, all ITGL students are placed in what we would call an applied learning experience, sort of like a mini internship, 4 to 6 hours a week in some type of educational organization. So some of our students are working in K-12 schools, others might be working in like a toy company, in a research center, really some type of hands-on experience for them to think about, I think, their careers, but also to think about their coursework in a more hands-on way. Mark, do you see any of the extended learning experiences like increasingly being like tied to students having some competencies in AI as a tool, or extended learning experiences where students are able to practice the skills that they're learning in a course like this?
Yeah, so great question. We absolutely do. Right now, currently, our students are out in our extended learning experiences here across the university using AI tools directly in a lot of our work units. So Bloomberg Public School of Health uses AI tools to help design a lot of their instruction. Advanced Academics here at the university does the same. And so this is giving our students real world applications tied back to our course here. And we also have online sites. One of our ITGL alumni has a site called Innovative Pedagogy, where quite extensively AI tools are being used to create out K through 12 instruction. So absolutely, we are offering our ITGL students direct application and practice from courses like this in AI and education.
Great, great. Thank you. I thought so, but I just wasn't sure.
Jennifer,
Yes,
can I ask a question?
of course you can ask a question.
Unless we have any, are there questions in the queue?
I don't see any in the Q&A, so go for it.
So, I'd love to hear through your expertise when you're out in the world, and you travel extensively, just what is your general sense of how people are thinking about AI in education? I know that's a hard question to answer, but you're all over the place. You visit a lot of countries, you talk with a lot of different people. And so I'm curious to hear just, what's the vibe that you're picking up on?
I mean, I think that definitely a hard question. And I would say that's probably two primary, I guess, themes I think of right away that I feel like I have lots of conversations about, right? So one of them, I think, is just the promise of AI as a tool in many countries, right? Particularly in places where there's human capital resource constraints that have prevented the expansion of quality education at the rate perhaps the government wants to deliver it, right? So there's a lot of excitement about how can we use AI as a tool to advance the priorities that we have in education, increase the quality of education, bring more of a particular type of education, personalize it, for example, to more students, right? So increasing the quality of education. So I think lots of excitement, but also nervousness about being prepared, particularly for some of the risks. But I think generally a lot of thoughts about how we can use this as a tool advancing education, right? And that's talking largely with governments, but also with like teachers and universities. But I think the other piece, right, is that we also see that during, for example, just like I was just teaching about this the other day during taking the COVID-19 pandemic as an example, the expansion of the digital divide, that the solutions that we had to bring education to so many people relied on infrastructure, right? And so there's so many countries where there's a lot of inequality in infrastructure and investment within the country. So governments certainly worry about the expansion of this divide, right? And how AI tools are going to increase opportunities for people who already have lots of opportunities and like leave so many people behind, right? So there's a lot of conversations about the risk of use, just like guys, you're talking about like, you know, AI being tool in another type of technology. I think this is an area that within the international education space that people have talked about for a long time, right? In terms of technologies, you know, exacerbating existing inequalities. But I think that there's a feeling that it will happen even more rapidly and the divide will grow even more when we think about AI.
Thank you.
So. But that's not a very hopeful, that's not a very enthusiastic end. I should have flipped my topics around. I actually think there's a lot of exciting things happening in this space. I'm so grateful that we have this expertise here at Johns Hopkins and that people our faculty are interacting with this topic in ways that is really powerful for our students and hopefully will lead to exciting new opportunities and careers for them as they work to make education better and improve lives generally around the world. So thanks to all of you. And actually I'm going to announce one more thing here. You can see here that I actually will be in China and Hong Kong in October, and I will also be in Turkey, Spain, Hong Kong, and China in December. Our own Jim Diamond will be in Vietnam also in October. And so I'm going to volunteer him here just in case. If students are interested in like, you know, talking to any of us when we're on the ground anywhere, you can reach out to SOE admissions, let them know where you are, and if it works out that we can meet you for a coffee or you can come by to talk in person. I'm always happy to meet students when I'm out on the road. So.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have any additional questions about the program or about the admission to the ITGL program, you can certainly reach out to myself or Miss Carol Herman and the ITGL program. And our contact information is listed here, as well as ways to engage with the School of Education on social media and online.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.